Go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers.
Tiger talk.
Go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers.
Tuff, Tiger talk.
Go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers, go Tigers.
Tuff, Tiger talk.
Go Tigers, go Tigers.
You're now listening to Tuff Tiger Talk with Big Q and the guys on the Pro Media Network.
You're now rocking with Tuff Tiger Talk on the PRO Media Network. What's happening, fam? What's going on? I'm Big Q chiming in on this one. This edition of Tuff Tiger Talk. LSU goes down to a winless, stinking, rotten Mizzou team, 45-41. Boo! We are definitely upset about this whole thing. We're coming at you. We had some difficulties over the last day or so. We're sorry about not bringing you episodes of Tuff Tiger Talk. We have already recorded them and they'll be uploaded so you guys can listen to them and it'll catch us back up on our schedule. I'd like to bring in my co-host on Tuff Tiger Talk, the show where we keep it real about LSU football. Uncle Mozzy's in the building. What's going on, Uncle Mozzy?
What's up? It's me. I'm here. I guess as good as I could possibly be.
Well, we're looking at it, Uncle Mozzy. It's not a really happy affair to be on, to watch this game, to see what Missouri did to LSU. I mean, to their defense. I mean, carved them up. 45-41. It was a total disrespectful loss. It was terrible. The defense stinks. The defensive coordinator is utter joke. And I can't believe how badly the LSU defense is this year versus years past. This is awful. It's just ridiculous what we've seen from the defense, and they have a lot to answer for. They lost to a true freshman, carved them up like this. There were players running unabated, unguarded, unchecked through the secondary. And we're going to talk about the statistics. We're going to go into the box score, talk about the stats. But before we get going, I want to hear what Coach O had to say about this. We got Coach O chimed up after a difficult loss to a Mizzou team they shouldn't have lost to. It's terrible, but here we go.
All right, very disappointing loss. Give Missouri credit. Give Coach Drinkwitz credit. They called a good game. We couldn't stop anybody. Really, the poor showing on defense. We got to coach better. Number one starts with me. Players got to make plays. Couldn't stop the run. Receivers wide open downfield was embarrassing, and we got to get it fixed. Whatever it is, they can get it fixed. I thought the offense played an outstanding game, except for down there. We're on the 1 yard line inside the one. We got to score there. We got to score to win the game. We had a chance to win it, and we did. I thought Miles played fantastic. He had 430 yards, 4 touchdowns. T. Marshall was 11 catches for 235. Eric Gilbert played fantastic. It was just all on the defense. And we got to get it fixed. But, we got to stay together. We can't blame it on the players. I told the players, I've got to coach better. We got to coach better on defense. That's the second time that we give up so many yards, so many points. And it's just not LSU defense. We got to get better.
That's Coach O chiming in with his thoughts on the loss to Missouri. Man, what a distasteful loss this was. Absolutely horrible, stinking, rotten, just terrible. It's absolutely horrible loss to this team. To lose to a winless team with a true freshman quarterback is just pathetic. And then to get sliced up like they did is even more pathetic and just depressing. First downs, 25-21 advantage Mizzou. They were to do it. They were able to convert 5 out of 10 on third down. LSU 0 for 10. Not one third down. The third down efficiency was horrible. 0 for 10. They didn't convert one stinking third down in this matchup. 586 total yards allowed by Mizzou. 479 by LSU. And usually when you score 45 points and throw for almost 500 yards or have almost 500 yards worth of offense, you're supposed to win the game. Not so much. They lost by 4 because of the pathetic, awful, terrible, crappy, garbage ass defense. I can't put it no lighter than that. It was just distasteful. 406 yards from the true freshman Bezalek, however you want to pronounce his name. The guy had 406 passing yards, 29 of 35, LSU 430, and they rushed on the Tigers. 180 yards rushing that they had. So they balanced the attack and totally had them in the spin. LSU wasn't able to get anything rushing. They had less than 50 yards worth of rushing on 20 attempts. That was laughable. Penalties, they were 4 for 30. Missouri 6 for 55. Despite three turnovers, they were not able to win the game. 29-11 was LSU's time of possession versus 30-49 for Mizzou. It was awful, and it was terrible. And what can I say? You go over the individual statistics and look at Miles Brennan. He's gotten a lot better. As the seasons progress, he's getting a little sharper. 29 of 48 for 430, averaged 9 yards a throw. He had 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. His QBR was 71.2. Running attack, LSU three-headed monster attack was laughable. 9 rushing attempts from Tyron Davis Price for 38 yards, 1 touchdown. Then you had John Emery, 2 carries for 7 yards. Chris Curry, 5 for 6 in the game. And, of course, Miles Brennan had his little stuff, but it's 20 carries altogether for 49 yards, 2.5 yards per rush for 1 touchdown. It was laughable. And then, of course, on the last series of plays for LSU to take the game and win the game, did they rely on the rushing attack? That's usually the staple of the offense. No, they tried to throw the ball back to back, as opposed to put the space eaters, the meat eaters on the line and say, give me 1 yard to win the game. If you can't give me that, you lose your starting job. If you can't give me 1 yard, there is no reason why you should be starting for this team. But instead, they try to throw the ball. Missouri has 2 stellar defensive stops and stops the team. LSU loses the game to Missouri, who hadn't won, who has a true freshman quarterback. Terrace Marshall, 11 catches on the day for 235. He had 3 touchdowns. Excellent game for him. Eric Gilbert, 6 catches, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. Keyshawn Butte, 5 catches, 49 yards on the day for him. And LSU offense, in terms of the passing attack, got going. The problem is the horrible defense. Where is the defense for the Tigers? Then you hear Tiger fans talk about, we know this team wasn't going well. What kind of goddamn Tiger fan are you? Nobody, no real self-respecting Tiger fan would come and make statements. I was observing the statements being made and commenting on the press conference that was being held with Coach Orgeron, and they said we knew this team was. What kind of goddamn Tiger fans are you guys? Seriously. What kind of stinking, rotten, awful-ass Tiger fans are you guys? Nobody that has an idea about this team will come into here and say, oh, no, the Tigers wasn't going nowhere this year. We knew that. Then why the hell are you watching the goddamn games then if you know they're not going nowhere? How stupid are these people? Looking at the Missouri side, Connor Bezalek or whatever his name is, 29 to 34, 406 yards, 4 touchdowns. He sliced them up. This guy was averaging 12 yards per throw. Larry Roundtree carried the ball 18 times for 119, 6.6 yards per carry. And it just wasn't him. It was everybody else that gave the ball to, whether it was Tide or Batty. He had 5 carries for 39 yards. He averaged 8 yards a carry in a score. Or Jalen Knox, 3 carries for 20 yards. That was 7 yards per attempt for a score. So it didn't matter who the hell you was. If you was a running back for Missouri, you was going to carry the goddamn ball for over 7 yards, over 6.5 yards per carry. And if you look at the team statistics for Mizzou, 33 carries, 180 yards, 5.5 yard average on their rushing attack with 2 rushing touchdowns. Absolutely awful. But Bo Pelini is the defensive coordinator with all of the experience, but yet this defense does not have a damn clue. They are completely confused. And of course, we was blaming it early on upon the injuries and the fact that Stingley wasn't out. It was like one person cannot mean your secondary looks that poorish. And of course, as you came to see this game, with Stingley playing the majority of the snaps, that they still looked lost. What's going on here? It's a disconnect somewhere. The scheme is too complex for them to pick up. A lot of changes happen in terms of people moving in, moving out. It's not working. Something needs to happen here. We're going to bring in our co-host, Uncle Mozzy. as I get going over the stats, I've played Coach Ogeron with his decision, with what he was saying about the game. I've covered the box score and the team statistics, individual statistics. Now let's have some analyzation. 45-41 Uncle Mozzy. This is a completely awful. The offense put up 45 points. Defense could not do enough. And then the thing is, the offense could not, on the last possession, where LSU could have won the game on the offensive line, they elect to have back-to-back passing plays, throwing down the line of scrimmage plays, as opposed to getting the space eaters and using the power of the running attack to get 1 yard for a touchdown to win the game. What the hell is going on here in Tigerland, Uncle Mozzy?
Well, obviously, it was definitely a regular tiger versus a Siberian tiger or a Bengal tiger. Missouri had a saber-toothed tiger or something. I don't know what it was, but definitely their tiger was a lot bigger than our tiger on Saturday. Again, man, I can't stress enough to everybody. These are kids. These kids have got to have structure. These kids have got to have some type of a format. And for their format of, a structure to be rocked to the core between COVID and recruits coming in that aren't fully able to practice, them just issuing out, having some uncertainty, issuing out 2 roster spots for our scholarships. I'm assuming to replace some of the scholarship spots that left. While we're on that, the fact that you had arguably a top 5 receiving all the nation leave, you had a couple other linemen and other supporting players to leave. You've got we largely draft in state. We've had 3 major hurricanes, 2 to rock 1 area in that Baton Rouge, Lafayette, River Parish area where we get a lot of recruits from. There's just a lot of hidden things going on that we're not privy to, because obviously as fans and as analysts, we only care about what happens on Saturday. But there's a lot more that goes on in the background. These are 17 or 18-year-old kids. For an 18-year-old kid to call home and his mom to tell him that they lost everything, that energy, even if it's not a player that you know of or a player that contributes a lot of, 3-4 of them are friends with a couple players, and I mean they know a couple people. Some people may have been injured or hurt, and that kind of attitude just kind of festers around a locker room. Your starting quarterback's gone. Your all-star receiver's gone. COVID's happened. We don't know if any of these kids have lost anybody in COVID. They got a lot of restrictions. No fans, little to no fans. They haven't been able to practice. 3 major hurricanes. That's all. And everybody across the nation has had to deal with, most of that. But I mean, those 3 hurricanes, being displaced. I mean, you know what it was like for Katrina, and at that time you were a grown man. So a 17 or 18 or 19-year-old kid calling home again, and everything's gone, or Aunt May's in the hospital, or mom caught a heart attack when she went home and realized the house had been moved off the slab. Those are things that we've got to equate for. We've got to put into an equation. We've got to account for. We've got to admit or acknowledge they exist, because at this point, and I hate to sound like this, especially from an analytical standpoint, but at this point, this intellectual property known as LSU football is not about just LSU football for these 17, 18, and 19-year-old kids. There's so much more going on in the background that's unaccounted for, that we as both fans and analysts have got to bring to the forefront. Is it an excuse? No. Did it stop the defense from letting someone hang 45 on them? No. But at worst, it's a deterrent, and it is definitely something to have a cause of concern for, especially when you're dealing with 17, 18, and 19-year-old kids with a bunch of shaky ground, a bunch of shakeups in the hierarchies, bunch of shakeups at home on the home front, bunch of shakeups in the middle of the team. friends moving around, friends losing family members, friends losing property, friends becoming displaced. You go down Canal Street, I'm sure they got plenty of friends and family of people that lived in Lake Charles and Vermilion Bay and Acadiana and in that area, stranded in hotels for the last 6 to 8 weeks. So if you don't think that weighs on a 17-year-old mind, who, oh, by the way, was supposed to play at home last week, and some of their fans or family was supposed to be in attendance, and that got ixnayed 2 days out to a bunch of kids that come from poverty. Their families can't just switch up like that and say, okay, it's not going to be in Baton Rouge, no problem. We'll book the plane tickets to Missouri, and we'll catch you guys out there. You see, so there's a lot of underlying issues that we're not accounting for, but that actually exists. And at this point, it's bigger than just, LSU football.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that commentary, and those things are very much warranted, but you know what my perspective is going to be. My perspective is the fact that most people are dealing with the same occurrences, but having different results. I mean, we have players from Louisiana that's not just at Louisiana State, but they're all over. It's Clifford, guys like Etienne, Travis Etienne, the great running back. He's from Baton Rouge, and he plays at Clemson. And he had 149 rush yard, 17 carries, 149, 2 touchdowns for Clemson, who are 4-0. 4-0 right now. And they dispatched number 7 ranked Miami 42-17 as well. Alabama continues to destroy talent. They have a lot of guys from Louisiana and across the Gulf Coast that are dealing with the storms. The reality is, besides the occurrences, everybody's dealing with C-19. Everybody's dealing with changes. And the thing is, if you're going to learn to be a successful adult, man, a woman, child, whatever, you have to understand, you have to progressively and successfully know how to deal with things and changes that you can't, that you have no power to control. But you can't control the changes, but you can control how you react to the changes, which is the lesson you're supposed to be getting as a young adult. That's the tutelage. That's the insight. That's the instruction that you're supposed to get when you're moving forward. So I understand the situations are very difficult that we all are going through, and as a young person, but I've pointed several examples of successful programs that are dealing with similar circumstances as this LSU football Tiger team.
Okay.
Now, the reality is the defense is the issue, and the defense is the problem as well. And in certain spots, we're seeing lack of leadership on offense. The rushing attack was needed to suck time off the clock. They could not rush the ball. Less than 50 yards worth of carries. 50 yards worth of carries on a heavy 3-headed monster attack, of course, from LSU. The issue is, in certain choke points in the game, why wasn't LSU able to convert, especially on the last play of the game? Why were they not? It's several questions here. Point to me, and I want you to address the football field play, not the off the field stuff that everybody has to deal with. If they can't focus, if you can't get a football player to focus on the task on the field, then they are not any good to you on the field. They need to be removed. If they're that distracted. The reality is, like I've said, what's the problem with the defense? Number one, I want you to answer that. And what's the issue? And why didn't LSU run the football when they were inside of the 2-yard line, looking with the game in reach? Why were they trying to throw down the line of scrimmage as opposed to power the damn ball in with the goal line package and successfully win the game? What the hell happened?
Well, we weren't there in the huddle or on the sideline to catch the ebb and flow of the game, and I'm sure it was thought about to run, but Uncle
Mozzy, let me add this to it. Yeah. Their interior defensive linemen were hurt. They used defensive ends inside to stop this because their interior defensive tackles were hurt. And you mean to tell me defensive linemen were able to stifle your running attack to the point where you can't get 1 or 2 yards to win the goddamn game on the goal line?
I mean, and that
down the line. What was the problem? I mean, answer that. I'll sit here and wait for your response.
Been a result of outthinking the room. Yeah, I get it, and that was definitely a result of outthinking the room that cost them the game. But there were several instances of brain farts and miscues and miscommunications to get to that point. So, we can't just put all a grade weight on one play. Although that play if successfully ran, which we don't know if it would have been or not, they would have indeed won the game. We can't put all the entire game grade weight on that one play, especially when we did not know whether or not it would have worked. He could have gotten stopped. He could have slipped. He could have fumbled the handoff. A million things could have happened. But I do understand what you're saying. At that point, given the game of football being a game of inches and leverage, that was probably their best bet, to just lower their pads and get under the other guy's pads and fight forward for the 1 yard to get into the end zone. And that was an offensive brain fart. But that had nothing to do with the defensive side of the ball, where we continue to struggle, especially in the secondary. People are getting off on us left and right, and they're able to move the ball in droves down the field in ways we were able to move it on other people last year. So, I mean, that within itself is either a coaching issue or a personnel issue. But we can't put all the grade weight on just that one play or that one situation. Was it a mistake, or would I have called it? Nah, I probably wouldn't have called it. But there are plenty of very intelligent people that make really bad decisions, and we don't know what the reason was. We can go back to the Pete Carroll Super Bowl, same situation. Why didn't he run the ball with beast mode? And he elected to instead throw it and got it intercepted, almost a mirror carbon copy thing. And I mean, I don't think anybody thinks that Pete Carroll's an idiot when it comes to the game of football. So, I mean, Sean Payton's another example. They're very intelligent high football IQ guys that generally just make bad decisions at times. So I'm not going to put all the gray weight on that play, but the defense definitely has to step up. And again, I just don't see a situation where LSU is going to be a successful program this year with all they've taken into account what you said, even what you said about other Louisiana imports or transplants in other programs. It's different being a Louisiana transplant in South Carolina, right, than it is to be a Louisiana domesticated person. I'm from Louisiana. I play football in Louisiana. I still live in Louisiana. You see, the Alabama guy is not affected the same way the Louisiana guy is affected. South Carolina guy is not affected the way the Louisiana guy is affected.
But it just seems like to me this is a major excuse, because regardless of what's going on outside of the field of play, that's when the concentration aspect is to focus on the task at hand and make sure the task on the field gets done.
Well, that's on the coaching.
That has to be the philosophy. We are a defending championship team, and even though we've lost a lot of talent due to the fact that it evacuated or moved on to the NFL, or that it opted out, we still have enough talent on this team to produce a winning team. We might not at this point end up picking it up to a point where we can challenge in Alabama, but I'm encouraged by some of the stuff that I'm seeing, because they have so much to clean up. But losses to a Mississippi State early on, the way they lost, they're losing to a Missouri team that they should have throttled and beat by double digits, and the defense running around, leaving guys wide open. I mean, and this happened in the matchups against Missouri too. And the only team they were able to trounce was a Conference USC as Vanderbilt Commodore club. I mean, this is pathetic. I mean,
can I ask you a question?
But this is not sure.
Okay. Given previous years, right?
Mozzy, you can listen. I'm gonna let you answer the question, but let me just say this: you cannot you cannot use or continue to use the example of natural disasters or C-19 or any other stuff when we talking about. You call them kids. I'm not talking about children here. I'm talking about young adults, young men.
17 is a kid, 18 is a kid.
17, 18, 19 years old. When you move up, you go to college, you are trying to be a young adult, and that's the first steps to being a young, responsible adult, period. Mm-hmm. And the reality is, the lessons learned at this standpoint is that even though we don't have the perfect life circulating around us at this current juncture of time, then if those parameters or those things that are circulating that's impacting us would also impact other teams as well. There are other players and there are other areas in the country that's not on the Gulf Coast that are experiencing the same things as LSU players are experiencing. The difference is they're handling it a lot more successfully than we are handling it. but they're not focusing on the task in hand. They're not concentrating, and that's an issue due to the fact that the instruction is bad. This doesn't have too much to do, and I think that's a component. What you're saying, I'm not just kicking against what you're saying. I think that's a component, but it's also the coach's responsibility to make sure that component does not impact the player, the young adult's ability to play on the field at the same time. If it does, then we need to remove that player because they'll become a detriment to the team because they're too focused on other things, not on the game of football that they chose to play. We gotta understand that we have to focus, and I do recognize that as a father and a person that has a lot of responsibilities, is that I have to take care of business regardless of what's going on around me. We broadcasted the other day on the hurricane situation. There, hurricane shit blowing out everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It was messing up the and did I say, oh, well, I can't have a good broadcast today because we got hurricane stuff and trash cans flying around and shit flying and everything.
You're looking through the lens of a seasoned individual that's eating shit and taking even more his entire life. So you recognize things ahead of time and are able to adapt. And you're trying to make a 17-year-old have that same.
But I'm saying there are other 17, 18 years old guys across the country that are dealing with similar or the same circumstances that are winning. I just gave you a list of people that are from this area or from that's dealing with along this region that's having the same they're handling it successfully. This is not an issue about environment. This is an issue about concentration. This is an issue about bad and poor instruction. This is an issue about them not getting the proper the proper instruction from their coaches to be able to be in the proper position to do things. These guys are top. There are 3, 4, 5-star recruits that know how to play the game of football. So it's not about
FBS programs got relocated. Games got relocated.
It's not about that. But you still have to focus on the task at hand, regardless of what happens. You must still concentrate on the task at hand, regardless of whatever happens. You must still produce on the field of play. You have to, because that is your job, and that's the instruction that we're supposed to get. That's what the coaches are supposed to be there for, to teach that. So the issue in me is not totally environmental; it's instruction. They're not getting the proper instruction. They don't know where to be. Even in the first game of the season, when you had all that extra time, they still look poorish, and people say they were rusty. Then we come into the third week, and then they still look like they did in the first matchup. What's the difference? The difference is they don't know where to be. There's poor tacklers. There's poor tackling going on out there. Players are obviously lost. You know what I'm saying? They don't know where to be. They get sliced up by a freshman quarterback, and then we come on the show and say, "Oh, it's because of the hurricane and the C-19." That's not totally the truth. They're not focused. It's the reality. It's a mismatch of philosophy and utilizing the talent correctly. This is on the defense. Coach O said so in the press conference. This is all on the defense, and that is Coach O's sticking point, is that he's a defensive line coach. Bo Pelini and them must get it together, and Ernst Minger and the rest of them on offense has to bring the running attack into these matchups. They have to let the air out of the ball. They have to be able to stop the run, and they did not do that. They did not stop the run. They allowed Missouri to put up over 150 yards worth of rushing on them. Then LSU only put up less than 50 yards of rushing. That is totally ridiculous. They did not get enough pressure on the quarterback. In the secondary, even if you know they don't know what they're doing, play their asses back in a zone scheme. If they can't play man-to-man, keep them back so they don't throw over the top of your head. I mean, this is the type of stuff that we're talking about, even if we know they're not even close to previous incarnations of LSU defensive capability. We still have to be able to call the correct plays to put us in a position to win, and then seize, even though we're not perfect, to seize the moment, like get that rushing touchdown on the end of the game to end out the game. You beat them by a few points, but you still win. You still win ugly. You're learning. You got that stellar Texas win like we did last year that put us on the crash course for the national championship when we were able to go into Texas and beat them there. And then after that, it created the mentality of the team. That could have been a sea change moment for this current version of the team if we had been able to do that. But there's no more excuses. I don't want to hear any more excuses about C-19. I don't want to hear any excuses about any hurricanes. This is the task. You focus on the task at hand. You get the job done. That's the lesson that I'm embarked upon all the young LSU players. They know it and I know it. I am saying the same thing that those coaches hopefully are saying, is that regardless of distraction, you must take care of business regardless. And that's in every aspect of life. You must take care of business regardless of distractions that's around you. Let's move in. I'm gonna give you the last word on that. Then we're gonna move into the preview of the Florida game.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, like I said, I definitely understand where you're coming from. I do.
But
no, it's no but. I'll concede to
I'm
the
waiting
fact
for it.
that it is the defense. I will say this. See, you see how I disguise the but. I will say this. Week 3, any other year, you could pick it at random. The last 30, 40, 50 years. Week 3, SEC play. We have not started conference play. We don't start conference play until around week 4, 5, 6. Although we may have an SEC opponent, we don't really have conference play. Now, the issue that I see here is that week 3, under normal pretense, we're playing McNeese State. We're playing La Tech. We're playing Itawamba State Junior College. So all of the inconsistencies in brain force, even if you look at the Crimson Tide, Alabama, almighty, all glorious Alabama, had a tough time dealing with Ole Miss, who consequently hung 45 on them or 41 or whatever it was. So, you could see where everybody's struggling from it. Some people just completely obliterate and outscore their opponents to where it doesn't matter. But you can see across the board systematically, without the McNeese States and the Itawamba States and the La Techs and the ULLs, those filler games in the beginning before conference play, you don't really get a time to eke out all of those inconsistencies that don't show their heads mid-October on back. This is the time LSU starts their conference play every year. But they've been playing since September, since late August, early September. So by the time they start conference play around mid-October, they played their fair share of, and that's what made last year so spectacular, because last season they really didn't have any gimme games. All their games were tough, and they fought every single opponent from soup to nuts, start to finish, and they beat all of them handily, with the exception of Ole Miss. I thought that was a really tough game, and they almost lost. But outside of that, man, this team always plays, lesser competition, like super lesser competition. We could all say that Missouri is lesser competition, but you take lesser competition Missouri and stick them in Conference USA, they win it every single year for a decade flat. We could both agree to that. So although they're bad for SEC standards, they're still way better than what most of these teams play for to get primed going into conference play. And I'll just leave it at that, my brother.
All right, well, there it is. That was a long, but the reality is, I respect what you're saying, man. I just don't. Whether it's Anawamba State or whatever you want to call them, or anybody else,
Anawamba State, my brother.
Anawamba,
Joe Horn.
right?
Yeah.
Joe Horn. So we just got to beat whoever it is. We got to stump their ass in the ground. I mean, regardless, man. I mean, we still got to bring that mentality to handle business, and I think it's too many. There's too many damn mistakes being made, and I think that's one of the key reasons why we're getting handled so badly in these games. All right, let's move on to the preview section of it. And of course, LSU, and this is some of the stuff what a lot of LSU people are concerned about, because they're losing these games with no heart. They're losing these games quite stupidly, if you ask me, and not rushing the ball, not playing defense, not stopping the run. I mean, the defense is a sieve. You can't hold any water. I mean, they're leaking and allowing 180-yard performances by Missouri. They're allowing the true freshman quarterback to cut their ass up. It's amazing. But this is the first time since 2017 that LSU dropped out of the AP polls. And remember, we're gauging this, of course. This is the era of LSU football. Is it really now? Because everybody else, that Clemson's number 1, Alabama's number 2, Georgia is there. And then, of course, unless we make these rectifications very fastly and plug up this leaky sieve ass defense we have, we will be annihilated by an Alabama or Georgia, or anybody else for that matter. We have to be able to stop, if anything. Coming into the season, we did not expect the LSU Tigers or Brennan to be Burrow. I merely said, and I said you can go back and play the previous episodes, we kept saying that the issue is you have to be able to run the ball and play defense. If you can run the ball and play defense and then work the passing in there, you will have success in not only in college, but in the pros. It's the same deal. But the issue with LSU is they can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass, and they're not running the ball now. And now they're trying to win off the pass. And it's just too much. It's just too many errors being made. And these guys are totally lost. Anytime there's that much blown coverages, is they don't know what they're doing. They're totally not communicating, and they're getting and they get ran out of there. But this is the first time, and since 2017, that LSU is not making AP top 25 poll. This is big. LSU's not ranked right now in the era of the new dynasty of LSU football. We're not in the top ranking anymore right now, this week anyway. And just to throw this to Uncle Mozzy's point, because maybe he didn't know this, but Louisiana Lafayette, which still deals with the same stuff that LSU players deal with, guess where they're sitting at?
Misnomer.
They are sitting in the top 25 poll right now.
Yeah, playing St. Holy Cross, of course.
No. It's not about that. It's about whoever they're playing, they're beating them. You cannot take away from Louisiana Lafayette the fact that they're inside of the top 25, whereas your LSU Tigers isn't. They're winning the games and they're beating who they're supposed to beat.
St. Holy Cross,
regardless. But you're losing to De La Salle as the LSU Tigers. You're losing to the Holy Crosses.
Missouri is no De La Salle, bro. Stop. Come on now.
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State would have beat La Tech by 40, by 20 for sure. You can't do that, man. La Tech, bro. Come on now.
This is the disrespect. Being an SEC we know that Vanderbilt is obviously De La Salle and the rest of these teams. And then we say De La Salle, these are local high school football teams that are not as good. This is what Uncle Mozzy is referring to. But the reality at the end of the day is if you are a team that play in the same conference with those football clubs, you have to defeat those football clubs, period. Whoever they put in your schedule that's in your way, you must beat them. And that's why Louisiana Lafayette is ranked at number 21 in the top 25 AP top 25 poll, where LSU is knocked out of the polls to a loss to a Missouri club that had a true freshman quarterback that sliced them up for over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. And you have
SEC Missouri club, by the way.
And you have 4- and 5-star talent defensive backs there that can't stop a cold. They can't do anything. They're totally lost, totally confused. So, like I said, I'm telling you, Louisiana Lafayette players are dealing with the same stuff as the LSU players are, but they were handling it in a positive way, whereas the LSU people aren't. They are using it as a motivator to win as opposed to as an excuse to lose. And that is the difference between the two, and why you need to learn the first lesson, how to use adversity as a motivator to push you to wins as opposed to an excuse to lose. That sets a bad precedent as an adult, a young person that's trying to become a responsible adult. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that at Uncle Mozzy because
you're the first non-barred lawyer that I've ever seen in my life. You should have tried criminal law, bro. You are really pushing the narrative, bro, and you know what you're doing, and they're gonna go for it, and it's crazy. But go ahead.
They're gonna go for it because it's the truth. It's the truth, my friend. You must use these circumstances as a motivator as opposed to an excuse. So why you can't do nothing? Well, why didn't win? Oh, it's because of C-19. Well, everybody going through the C-19, but you use it as a motivator to move you to success as opposed to excuse so you can justify failure. We don't do that here. We don't push that narrative. We believe in taking responsibility and handling your goddamn business and not blaming something else for why you couldn't handle your business. Bottom line, we don't win championships that way. We don't. Now let's get into this game. I just want to throw that article and just to let the family members know about the fact that Louisiana Lafayette, that's right, the Raging Cajuns are number 21 ranked in the AP Top 25 poll. LSU misses the poll for the first time since 2017. Is that a big thing? You decide out there. Is it a big thing or not? Let's move into the preview matchup between LSU and Florida. Now, this is going to be in Florida. This is Saturday at 2:30 p.m. It's a 2:00 game, 2:30 game Central Time. Florida is 2-1. They're ranked 10th in the nation. LSU, like I said, they're not ranked. They were knocked out of the poll overwhelmingly. Almost 68% out of 100% of the people believe that this is a matchup that Florida would decimate LSU. That's what they're thinking. Of course, Florida's coming off a very close loss to Texas A&M, where they lost 41-38. LSU loses 45-41 to Missouri. They could have won the game. As terribly as they played, they could have won it on the last play of the game had they ran the ball and got a few yards. They would have scored the touchdown and stole the game away. Could have been a Texas game. We'll have to wait and see. This could be a Texas matchup. This team has to be properly motivated to beat this Florida team. We're going to the swamp. LSU must handle business against this Florida team. Let's go down the numbers. Their top quarterback is Kyle Trask. On the season, Trask is 74 of 103, almost 1,000 yards of passing. He has 14 touchdowns throwing the ball versus 1 interception. Their top back is Pierce, 25 carries, 130 yards, 1 touchdown, and their top receiver is Pitts, 17 catches, 274 yards. He has 7 touchdowns. LSU's top guys, Miles Brennan, 79 of 131, has 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, and he's starting to round out. Brennan is starting to round out, as you can see his numbers compile here. We need the running attack to help balance the attack. That's what we need. We need the defense to stop leaking like a damn sieve. Top running back is Emory Jr., 21 carries, 137 yards, 1 touchdown. And top wide receiver is who else but Terrace Marshall Jr., 21 catches, 424 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Terrace Marshall Jr. is statistics is up there as one of the top wide receivers in college. Remember, he had 40+ catches last year in that offense when Burrow was here. And many people, and myself included, if you go back and let's say Terrace Marshall Jr. is going to be a stud for them when he gets the opportunity. Well, you know, of course, we had to opt out at the wide receiver, and Marshall had the opportunity to step up, and he's stepping out. You know, Racy McMath, not so much. But if you look at the points per game as we lay it out here, points per game with LSU is just a second here. They're averaging just under 39 points a game. The LSU's offense is averaging just under 39, 38.7 to be precise. Florida's averaging 42, 42.3. So LSU almost 39. Florida's 42 a game. Points allowed. LSU's defense is allowing a blistering 32 points a contest. 32 points a contest. That is ridiculous. But they're giving up 32 points a contest. Florida's defense, or worse, believe it or not, 33.3 a game that they're allowing. So we can move the ball against them if we don't make any mistakes and we keep a balanced attack. We could beat Florida in the swamp, and this could be the Texas game for us. This Florida game could mean something like the Texas game meant to LSU last year. This team needs its own version of that, you know, to gel underneath. A big win over a top 10 opponent could catapult LSU back into this thing. Let's look at the rest of the total yards on offense. 371 yards per contest. LSU's offense is passing, they're rushing at just 97 yards per contest, which we need LSU to get over the hundreds, into the plus hundreds. Looking at Florida, Florida's averaging 464 yards flat per game, offensively speaking, 342 of it through the air. They're rushing at 122 yards per contest. We have to stop that. Now let's go to the defensive numbers here. The LSU team defensively allow 495 yards per game. That is ridiculous. 381 of it is allowed through the air. That is totally ridiculous that the offense is allowing 381 goddamn yards through the secondary every foot from these first 3 games. This is ridiculous. And then if that don't float your boat or sink it rather, how about the fact that they're giving up 114 yards rushing on the ground? So we don't stop anybody any kind of way, and we wondering why we 1-2 here. 381 yards you're allowing through the air and 114 yards you're allowing on the ground. That stinks. You are awful. You are terrible. You are a sieve defense. And we have to plug the hole either the passing wise and start playing more zone to prevent the deep ball, and we have to clog the lane up and selective hole blitzes to stop them from running the ball. Let's look at Florida's defense. Well, Uncle Mozzy, 495 yards per game they're allowing, 331 of it through the air as opposed to 381 by LSU, but you can run on them. They give up 164 yards, rushing yards a game, which means that we should be able to take advantage of this team because they stink against the run. 164 yards to give up a contest. So John Emery Jr., Curry, and Price, these guys have to get going. The running attack has to get going. I see. Okay, Uncle Mozzy, I set it up. I went through all the statistics. We know the heavy hitters and the players on both sides of it. What happens in this game? Give me the keys of victory for LSU and who wins this game.
Well, I think it could be definitely a bounce back game for LSU. It needs to be if they want to salvage the season and get to a decent bowl game. Florida, that's my brother-in-law's favorite team. He loves them to death, and it's been since Leach was over there. And I mean, Florida hasn't really done anything, in my opinion, in the better part of a decade. I think that they'll bounce back. I think LSU will bounce back. I don't know how to go defensively because I mean, the Florida can move the ball. They can definitely move the ball. They don't need much to get going. Trask has been playing, fairly well. I don't think as a whole, as a team, though, I don't think they've been doing really well. They eked out a win over Carolina. They just lost it to Texas. And we got 35-20. We got a 51-35 Ole Miss score. So, I mean, it could be a bounce back game. They need the game. I wish they would have beaten, obviously, Texas, because had they beaten Texas, they still maintain a very high ranking in the AP and coaches poll. And if we can go into the swamp and beat them, that'll definitely catapult us back into the top 25 and possibly give us the mojo that we need to, finish out the rest of the season and cruise control it out. It just remains to be seen. They can definitely be beat. Florida is not a infallible ball club by any chance. I mean, obviously, they were supposed to lose week 2. They eked out. They wound up losing week 3. They gave them an unbelievably high ranking for whatever reason. And I don't really feed off into our low ranking. Yeah, we've lost 2 games, but I still think we're a top 25 team. We lost a team we don't traditionally play a lot. And the teams that we did lose to were SEC opponents. So I still think that they have to give us the benefit of the doubt, or should anyway, when it comes to that, which they won't because it's LSU, and they couldn't wait for any chink in the armor to knock us out the top 25 and talk about how we're ridiculous country bayou Cajun people that hunt alligators and eat gumbo all day because that's what they think of us. And they couldn't wait for this moment. But I think the redemption point will be Florida, because once we beat Florida, now you've got 2 black eyes. So are you going to exit stage left out of the top 25 as well and catapult us in? Either way, I think we're in good shape because the great thing about it is it's all SEC play. So all we have to do, and I know this is a very tall order, is just win out and allow things to just kind of play out and see where they fall. I think it could be a bounce back game for them. I think Brennan could expose them through the air. I do think we need to get the running attack going somewhat so, but they give up an incredible amount of yards, overall yards. So I don't think that'd be a problem for the offense, but Florida could definitely score with the best of them. So our defense, especially our secondary, could be in for a very long afternoon Saturday.
Yeah, you're not kidding, Uncle Mozzy. I mean, that's the reality, man. It's the fact that LSU's, I mean, they're awful secondary wise. I mean, you look at statistics on this team, they're terrible. They are giving up 381 yards per game through the secondary. And even the defense up front has caught their garbageness, as I want to use that term. Their craptasticness.
I'm going to look that up. Garbageness.
Yeah, if it's not, put it in there and then put a picture of LSU's current defense next to it, because that's what it is. 381 total yards that the secondary is allowing. That's totally ridiculous. The Florida Gators offense on the per game average is 342. So they're giving up he's spotting them 40 yards. So, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. The rushing attack has to stop teams from running, which this team can run the ball 122 yards a game. The issue is they can't stop the run. They give up 164, which is repugnant. So we have to be able to use the rushing attack against their weaknesses. They can't stop the run. We have to run the ball and then take our shots. The defense, Bo Pelini, get up off your ass and start simplifying the defense. If they're lost, start playing more zone schemes where you keep everything in front of the defense as opposed to behind them. We have to clean this up fast because Florida will test the secondary. They believe that there's their victory to winning the game. Anyway, before I give our analogy on it, let's listen to Coach O, what he said about the upcoming matchup against Florida. Here's Coach O.
Ready, Coach?
All right, guys. Obviously, a very disappointing loss. Like I told the players, put it on me. I told the coaching staff this morning, we got to coach them better. We got to get better. We identified things that went wrong on the meeting, in a big meeting yesterday on offense. I thought our guys played very good in most of the game. Very impressive. Miles Brennan, 430 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no interception. The biggest thing, he took the big hit down there on the goal line and kept on coming. He's not going to practice today. He's sore, but he's going to be back tomorrow. I was very proud of Miles. Very proud of Terrence Marshall, 11 catches, 235 yards, 3 touchdowns. Eric Gilbert, freshman, six catches, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. I thought those guys played very well. Very disappointing on the third down, 0-10. We've got to get it fixed. We've got to take the accountability as coaches. We've got to get it fixed. We've got to have a better scheme. Then we got to have better execution. No excuse on the goal line, none whatsoever. We need to get our best personnel in the game. When we're driving, we should get our best personnel in the game that fits the plays that we're calling. We should have had a better plan on the goal line. We're going to start on that today. All right, on defense, not a very good performance. We had a long meeting yesterday about communication, about missed singles, about all kinds of stuff. And I'll just put it on the coaches. That's all that is. I'm not going to put it on the players. We got to execute better. But we got to practice better. We got to simplify. I told both Steve and Bo to simplify. Make sure that our players can do it. I don't care if we have to play one defense or one coverage. Play it right. Do whatever we need to do. Put our athletes in a good position and let them make plays. I don't know the players are hurting today. I'm going to talk to them today. We're going to get it fixed. On special teams, our guys did a good job. We got to, Zach Van Rosenberg is doing a phenomenal job of punting. I was disappointed in Cade's block. It was low, hit the guy in the helmet. That could have been a game-winning field goal for us at the end. The kickoff team, we need to look at our personnel. We need to look at our kicks. Avery's kicking it deep, but he didn't kick it in the right position. And some of our guys got out of position on our kickoff. So we're going to look at the personnel and some of the things that we're doing. Overall, we're going to stay positive within this program. It's my job as the leader. I take accountability of everything to get it fixed. And we're going to get ready for Florida. Very good football team. Just a couple of things on Florida. I think Dan Mullen's an outstanding game day caller. I've known Dan for a long time, been against him. And we got our work cut out for us. He's an excellent coach. He's got an excellent staff. This is one of the best staffs we're going to be against and one of the best personnel we're going to be against. So we got a lot of respect for Florida Gators and who they are. Kyle Trask is an excellent quarterback. Kyle Fitz is an excellent tight end. You can call him a tight end, but a receiver, one of the best players in America we're going to see. And then Tony is an outstanding receiver. They got a lot of speed. As we know, Florida's got a lot of speed. I'm very impressed with their running backs. They run hard. Yards after contact is the biggest and best offensive line we've played so far. A big challenge for our defense. A big challenge to go toe-to-toe with them, make the proper calls, make the proper adjustments, and cover their wide receivers and tackle their backs. It's not a hard game plan. On defense, Todd Grenham's an excellent defensive coach. They're not playing the defense that they usually play, but I know against us they're going to play great defense. He's a great defensive line coach. They always have speed on the defense. Brandon Cox, junior defensive end, Ventrell Miller. Those guys are good players, but they have good players all over the field. This is going to be a big challenge for us. Our third road game in a row, we can't blink. But we got to fix LSU first today. And it's going to be a big day today. We got goal line. We got short yardage going in. We got corrections. We got red zone. We're going to make a couple of adjustments in personnel throughout the week. Put our best players in the position we can and get this thing fixed. Any questions?
That's Coach O chiming in his thoughts. And of course, he covered the waterfront. He talked about the prior game when Missouri, then looking at this upcoming matchup with Florida. He's taking accountability. He's talking about several adjustments that the team is hopefully to make moving forward. And all of this stuff is stuff that we as LSU family members want to know and learn as we going forward. They definitely most certainly on defense have to make the proper adjustments. The coach spoke about changes in personnel on offense and defense, and perhaps on a special team to get a different end result. So coming into the Florida matchup, we'll see exactly how it shakes. But listen, he's not underselling this thing. This is a major early season game against Florida. They're ranked 10th in the nation. They're coming off a really tough loss, like we said, in the Texas A&M, and they're going to be focused to get back on staff. So you got a very upset and angry Florida club, and going into the swamp to take on this one. This is a tough game for LSU. A lot of issues to overcome, but the defense need to stop the run. We need to play a certain coverage where we prevent the pass. We need to be able to get to the quarterback and sack them. We also need to be able to control the clock. We need to be able to run the football effectively enough against a very porous team that allows 164 yards or allow you to rush 164 yards. The rushing attack that we have with Emery and Curry and Price, that three-headed back system must be utilized. We must utilize that as best we can to get the win. And it's just amazing, man, to say the least. But wow, man, this is going to be a tough one, man, for a young LSU club. Could we get it? You know, that's the issue. Can they come up with the win? And I would have to say, you know, if we run the ball and we do what we're supposed to do, we can get this victory. We can take advantage and get a win over this Florida club, man. We have to. If you lose this one, man, the prospects of the season, it takes quite the tumble. We have to be able to salvage this season with a win against Florida State. Uncle Mozzy, what's your thoughts on that before we end the show?
I'll help you out. The prospects of this season is over. The season will be lost. It'll be shit water, and it'll be over. I'll help you out with the politically correctness because I'll take the hit. I know you don't want to take. If they don't win this game, it's over. They need to get their fishing rods. We can go charter a boat, and me, Coach O, Big Q, Miles Brennan, we can all go on the water in this. I catch me some bluefin marlin or whatever on the Gulf of Mexico, because that's where they're gonna be at if they don't beat these people. They don't even need to come back to Baton Rouge. They could just stay in Florida where they already got good fishing and whatever out there right there. So they can stay out there, because if they don't win now, they don't need to come back. They need to go to Gainesville. Seriously, they go to Gainesville Saturday with a no plan B, non-optional mentality. It's the only way they're gonna save this season. The only way they're gonna save a lot of their careers moving forward.
Yeah, it is.
No plan B, baby. Go Tigers.
Oh, there it is. That'll do it for this edition of Tough Tiger Talk. And we keep it real, and we keep that Tough Tiger Talk. Anyway, we'll be back. Tigers got to handle business, man. We got to take care of business on this one, no doubt about it, man. I'm Big Q. That's Uncle Mozzy. We'll be back on the next edition of Tough Tiger Talk on the recap show after LSU get the win over Florida. So go Tigers, man. Let's make it happen, baby.
You're now listening to Tough Tiger Talk with Big Q and the guys on the Pro Media Network.
HomeBistro.com. Freshly prepared, home-delivered, restaurant-quality gourmet meals delivered straight to your home. Choose from over 50-plus gourmet meal options cooked by world-class chefs and delivered frozen, ready to eat within minutes and no commit. Welcome to the one-shop gourmet food delivery, specializing affordable options to eat right and feel great. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Every ingredient is handpicked to the highest standard. And why you should buy from homebistro.com. Restaurant quality made with natural ingredients delivered right to your door. Overnight shopping is available. Diabetic, paleo, heart health, and vegetarian options to eat. Doing business since 1999. Courteous, knowledgeable, and professional support. Complete PCI compliant SSL security ordering and great meals. Choose from some of my favorite dishes: the Mediterranean chicken with orange honey sauce, the charbroiled chicken romesco, or the grilled chicken breast with sweet and spicy vegetables. No matter what you choose, you can't lose with homebistro.com. Eat great, feel good, and save some money with homebistro.com. Hit the link in the description section below for more information. Located in Henderson, Nevada, bulksupplements.com supplies over 400 pure nutritional supplements, ingredients to hundreds of thousands of consumers and manufacturers. All of their products are available from grams to metric tons through their online store at bulksupplements.com. Orders received 4 noon Pacific Standard Time shipped the same day. Their FDA registered CGMP manufactured and distributing facility has a staff over 60 full-time employees that take pride in providing excellent customer service and producing quality products for their customers. The wellness of the community is of the utmost importance to Bulk Supplements. It's dedicated to maintaining all health code and government regulation. Each supplement is tested in their in-house laboratory before distribution, ensuring that all products are safe for consumption. For any additional testing, they utilize reputable and vetted US-based independent labs. Customer service is available 7 days a week from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time through live chat, phone, and email. Bulk Supplements products are produced in an FDA registered and inspected manufacturing facility. So if you want quality supplements at a quality price, Bulk Supplements is the company for you. Bulk Supplements, clean and pure bulk supplements. Check the link in the description section below for more information. Remington Tax Solutions is a company that, together with their partners, provide virtual tax consultation and preparation for individuals, small business, and nonprofit. They also provide notary and a host of other business-related services for their clients. Their associates provide a systematic yet very client-centered approach to their services. They offer the industry knowledge and insight to help solve your most complex tax issues. At Remington, their currency is time, the one resource that cannot be replenished. For that reason, they utilize the simplest and most effective forms of technology to make their services faster and more efficient. No need to wait in the office until your taxes are completed. Simply upload your documents via the Taxes to Go app or via their client portal, and they'll take care of the rest. Remington Tax Solutions is a member of the National Association of Tax Professionals and participates in the IRS Annual Filing Season Program, which is a voluntary tax education program to stay abreast of the ongoing changes in tax legislation. Remington Tax Solutions has a strong connection to the communities in which they serve. It is a part of their mission to make a positive impact on the lives of their neighbors. So, if you're looking for a reliable, effective, and trustworthy tax preparation service, Remington Tax Solutions is the business for you. Contact Remington Tax Services at their number 682-307-4410 or simply go to remingtontax.com. That's remingtontax.com. Remington Tax Service, virtual tax preparation for the individual and small business. Who that family? Check out the Pro Shop. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform stores where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and who that too.